Welcome to another episode of Bringing Down the Grindhouse, a podcast where we discuss horror in media. And today we'll be talking about Tetsuo, the Iron Man, and Riki-Oh!
The story of Riki-Oh.
Mitch. The story of Riki-Oh, actually. The story of Riki-Oh. I'm Mitch.
And I'm Murr.
And I'm Jonathan.
Oh, quick announcement, folks.
Yes.
I almost
Big
forgot.
announcement.
I almost forgot. Big announcement. Bringing Down the Grindhouse will soon be in the field of printing shirts for y'all.
Yep.
Whoever wants to get them.
We're going to be offering shirts for a limited amount of time on our website, which now is an official.com. So you can go and find it at bdtghpodcast.com. And it's available on all of our social media. So it's on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, as well as like any link tree or if you have one of the business cards as well. But you can go there. It's going to be on a pre-order status. So as soon as the sale is over, we'll ship them. And so that'll be coming up really soon. We'll make more posts about it with all the information.
Look good in our swag.
Yes. Look elegant. Wonderful. Or as wonderful as you can be in a t-shirt.
I mean, it'll have our logo on it.
The logo is pretty cool.
It's a pretty
I'm
good
all
logo.
right with it, I guess. It's kind of like the coolest thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
So, Tetsuo the Iron Man.
Oh, Murr over here,
Right.
bringing us back to
He's
the
like-
topic.
Well, we got to start with all the production stuff for these because they actually have a lot of stuff that has to do with their production, especially Tetsuo, considering it was such a small independent project.
Really, though, this movie, it definitely seems like a college art film.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
It
it was
definitely
like
seems
his
like that.
third film, I think, after doing the first two. And the first two, like, gained cult status almost immediately.
It's also probably one of the most punk rock horror movies there
It's
is.
cyberpunk.
DIY as fuck.
And I told John this, but the most fucking sweaty movie I've ever seen in my life.
This might take it up as the sweatiest movie we've seen so far.
There's a lot of sweat in it. There's also a lot of other bodily fluids in this one.
There was a lot going on.
There's a lot.
There's
It's a lot going on.
We'll get into all of it, but I mean, there was a lot going on, and it's funny because that's literally one of the questions that I wrote down. I was like, sweatiest movie of all time, possibly.
Possibly.
Well,
Possibly
I'm
the
assuming
sweatiest.
it's Japan during the summer and it's really fucking hot and humid.
Yeah. Either that or everyone's just freaking the fuck out
Yeah, they're
the
just
whole
like
time.
constantly sweating.
Just constant sweat.
I just picture a giant water bottle, just like, get the water boy in here.
What was that movie? The Fast and Furious movie with The Rock. I feel like they just went up to him and sprayed him with some water because he's like dripping in one of the scenes and no one else is. It's just him with his weird goatee beard thing that he had. I don't know. It was a weird, but that one was up there where I was like, this might be the sweatiest movie of all time. And I think this is hilarious that we're taking this through a few episodes. We're like, you know what? You know what? This
one
might
be the sweatiest movie.
Yeah, we'll keep ranking movies on that scale, which is hilarious.
You
to
don't
me.
know this, but this is a Cheers reference.
Yeah, we said
I
it
think
before.
We talked about it. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe we did talk about it.
We
That's
mentioned
fine.
it, but you know what? I don't think a lot of people know what Cheers is. I
That's
will say
really
that,
sad,
which is
actually.
weird.
That's sad.
But we're not that old. Whatever. Anyway,
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, no, my parents like Cheers.
Yeah,
Isn't that
exactly.
weird? That's
I didn't
weird.
know what fucking Cheers was until you told me.
And then I
So,
showed you an episode, and you actually laughed
Wait.
at a sitcom.
Yeah, exactly. I feel fucking horrible.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, some people don't know what sitcom stands for, so there's all sorts of weird
Damn.
information. Yeah.
What is it? Sitcom? stand for?
Situational comedy.
Oh yeah, that
which,
makes sense.
Which usually means that like each episode is like a standalone. Like you could,
Yeah.
you don't have to watch it in order.
yeah,
There's
exactly.
usually like random stuff that's overarching. One of the best ones is like Law and Order shit. Those are well, it's not a situational comedy, but it's like they're standalone episodes. They're like procedurals.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, back to Tetsuo the Iron Man.
So for Tetsuo the Iron Man, it was directed, produced, written, and he also stars in the film, and it's by Shinya Tsukamoto. Is that how you say his last name?
Correct.
Okay, I thought so. And so he plays the guy who's labeled as the metal fetishist.
Yeah, the guy who's
Fetishist.
obsessed with metal, even so much as to insert it into his body to really reach like a new like
Right.
body high, I guess you could explain.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, he was
It's very sexual, kind of.
There's a lot. There's so many. Part of it I would say is sexual. There was another part that's just appealing to violence, and there was so much underlying in Tetsuo that seemed to me was expressionistic. So like taking straight from German expressionism because of the black and white and because it was in like the way that it was lit. All of the lighting and everything gave to that impression. So it made sense.
Like shades over half of faces, obscuring parts of the scene with blackness.
Right.
To like highlight more of what's going on in the film.
Right. The music is really important in Tetsuo, or at least that's how I felt about it.
Absolutely.
It was used so heavily to give you a mood, to tell you how you were feeling in a moment, to build up anticipation for a lot of scenes. And it was credited to Chu Ishikawa.
Yeah, Chu Ishikawa, known for making the soundtracks for Tsukamoto and Takashi Miike.
Takashi Miike is the guy we mentioned before who's made like over 100 films, including The Immortal, which came out like a year or two ago.
Interesting.
Yeah, so he's just been making the soundtracks for a lot of these indie films and has gained his status in those films.
The soundtrack itself is made with like a lot of impacts that are organically formed by hydraulics and hammers and all kinds of dings. Like it sounds exactly like you would at any industrial blue collar job.
It just the whole movie is an industrial song.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say.
I really want to go and find the soundtrack for it.
Just bing-a-ding-dong.
And just
I
fucking
know
go ham.
for a fact that they have a vinyl on it, but it carries songs from the second movie, Bullet Man, as well. Or
Okay.
maybe that's the third one.
I mean, I'm cool with that.
But the whole entire, like, the actual soundtrack that's for the whole movie, that's on YouTube for sure.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Um,
I'm always about the vinyl, though. I'm glad you mention it every time.
Yeah. Big fan of vinyl. You should always
Right.
support
Go
physical
support your
media.
local shops.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, like, with these organic impacts and stuff, this could be credited as one of the first Japanese industrial albums because it did come out in '89.
It's right. No, honestly, yeah, it was right around like when industrial kind of like darkwave shit was coming out.
Barely, yeah.
Like
So, I mean,
just starting to come out.
I mean, how fitting that would come from like a really like underground place.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure not many people knew about this movie.
No,
really,
no,
when
they
it came
didn't.
out, similar to how the like old school industrial scene was very like bare bones as well with how they made music and whatnot.
Fun fact, you guys know the project Gunshot Wound that I run.
Yes.
That had this movie, like the soundtrack itself was just like a big like, hey, you should make music like this. And the fact that like I do work in a blue collar factory kind of setting.
Mer, what do you do?
I do
in
weld.
case people don't know.
I weld structural steel in San Diego.
You're a welder?
And, yeah.
It's fucking badass.
It is fun. I get burned a lot.
I don't know very many people who do welding, so that's why I was like, yo, that's legit.
It is a lot of
Also, plug
fun.
yourself. Where do we find your shit?
If you'd like to check out the industrial music that I make with my friend Aiden from Los Angeles, you can find us on Gunshot Wound. We have everything on Spotify, Apple Music, Bandcamp. You could get everything for free.
Hell yeah.
And if you DM us on Instagram at Gunshot Wound Noise, I could send you free cassette tapes. So
yo,
that's always a thing. But it was a big inspiration for me to make the music that I make because it uses organic, actual sounds from industrial projects like impacts, hydraulics, grinding, welding, all kinds of samples used for all that. It's very prevalent and it makes the movie overall impact. It just hits harder and you feel more tension in scenes as well as more like dramatic moments. I don't know how to explain it.
I felt like it was making me pay attention at certain points. It made you sit up, get closer, realize that this was an important moment. It used it for a lot of the anticipation for what was going to happen. And they use it a lot for the stop motion pieces where they're able to kind of give you this idea that something was getting accelerated. And they were able to do that both visually and with the music.
I think like with the intro of the movie where they actually have the title card Tetsuo come out in like the old Atari font.
So great.
And then like you just hear the dun dun.
I mean,
dun,
the
dun,
end
dun,
of the
dun.
movie even says game over.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
It's like an old school screen. It goes and it just says game over. And that's the end of the film. And it's fucking great. But I mean, this is cool. I liked the project a lot because he made the film with money that he saved from his day job. Like he legit was just working constantly, and any money he had, he put it all into this movie.
It's kind of like the same thing with Kevin Smith and Clerks. Like,
yeah, exactly.
People like putting their whole like like their whole life on the line just to make a film that they're like really passionate about.
Quick information for the film. It was released July 1st, 1989, and has a runtime of 67 minutes, and it's in Japanese. So some of it does have translations, some of it doesn't. At the time that they released it, especially at the film festival that it was at, they didn't have enough money to put subtitles in. So it actually premiered to an audience who didn't know what they were saying. So that's kind of important because it was kind of unknown up until that point. And it was for a specific film festival in Rome. Let me double check.
That's very specific.
Yeah, it was something. It was the Fanta Festival in Rome in 1989, and it received the award for the best film when it got released there. And so this kind of gave it some momentum to go and get released on DVD or on VHS, and then later onto DVD when Laserdisc and all these other things were a thing. And then all of those are out of print now. So, but you can still go find them if you really want to. Go look for it in an old shop. But this movie is credited with a revival of indie films for indie Japanese films. It's credited really heavily with kind of reviving the indie scene for them and then getting them onto the map with film festivals. Most film festivals were ignoring Japanese film up until this point. And they kind of, or at least he kind of set the path to see these films get recognized, and then he got a lot of popularity off of that.
It is a big staple for cyberpunk as well.
Yep.
Just like the aesthetic that it goes for, like mixing flesh with technology and or metal. It plays a big role in like AI-centered stories and music and just all around cyberpunk culture. Just like when flesh meets metal, it's just like it's a big trope within that, and it's very prevalent in this movie. Obviously,
they use discarded TV parts to put everything on them. That's where they got most of their material from, and just taped it onto them and shot the scenes.
There's so many fucking things that I'm just like looking at. I'm like, that's a rod of fucking cast iron steel. That's like those are tens of thousands of wires.
I feel like you have to watch it multiple times to understand how much stuff is in these scenes.
The drill penis, dude.
Oh my god.
Right. So there we'll get to the drill penis.
How did I forget it? Because Riki-Oh was also so ridiculous that I forgot this.
They were both absolutely ridiculous with certain ideas, and that one was like the largest phallic reference we have on film probably that we've ever discussed.
Yep. It's there.
Body horror is prevalent.
Yeah, both of these films were made for that appeal. It's straight body horror.
I just want you to imagine your penis turning into a drill.
And then murdering your girlfriend.
Yes, and then murder your girlfriend with it.
Well, you know what? I couldn't tell if she killed herself or if he forced her.
Right?
It kind of looks like she killed herself.
Kind of looks like she was like, I'm ready to do this.
Just jumped on top of it and
this is done.
I don't know. What's the word for that? She... not immolated. Oh God, what's the word for like getting your guts out? No.
Seppuku.
No, that's with a knife. I thought.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah, that's like knife to the stomach. No, it's like what happens when you get all of your guts ripped out. It's a certain word.
It is a word.
Gutted. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, gutted is a word for it. She gets gutted.
It is seppuku.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's the ritualistic suicide.
Same thing. They call it the same thing.
Oh, okay. It doesn't have to be with a certain weapon.
Suicide.
Just if you cut your own guts, yeah, seppuku.
You know what? It happens in both films.
It does.
Now I think about it. The first dude he fights rips open his own guts and then tries to choke him with his intestines.
Yep.
It's I don't even know.
That was pretty amazing.
That was wild. I was like, what is going on? Just that threw me off so much. But yes, we'll talk about the mechanical penis or drill penis. I don't know what to call it and what that fucking means. But really, just a few more things. The filming for Tetsuo took over 18 months for them to do it, and most of the crew left while they were filming because it was such a hard thing to do. And at some point, the person who stars in it was helping them with lighting and whatnot. Freaking the director himself was thinking about burning the negatives because he had such a bad time making the film.
Oh my God.
That's just like some super like I'm an artist. I hate my
I
work,
know.
but I love my work.
But I mean, so he shot on 16 millimeter film. He started
black and white.
Yeah, in black and white. He started with the Super 8 camera, which is pretty much what every filmmaker had during that time period. He got gifted the Super 8 camera by his dad. So he was able to start really young, like at 14. They have like record of all of his stuff. You can go and see his like 10-minute short film where he made those, and he just kept going until he made the 16 millimeter film, which was this one. And then after that, he transitioned to like whatever medium. But most of his stuff is done on actual film, and it's cut and edited that way as well. So interesting stuff for something like that, especially with how much work would go into the stop motion part of it. I can't imagine how many frames that was for them to get that effect they were using for the special effects.
Oh, for the stop motion, like
chasing,
flying
yeah,
through the
flying.
city.
Yeah, that was fucking nuts.
Dude, that was like Dragon Ball Z shit right there.
It really was, though, actually. Just like skidding across the floor.
There's like punch, then like a million fucking stop motion clicks later,
Yep.
hitting a trash can.
And then for Riki-Oh, it was directed and written by, I don't know if I'm saying it right, Lam Nai Choi, who co-wrote it with Tetsuya Sarawatari.
Correct.
Yeah. And it was based off of a manga of the same name.
And if you look at the manga, super fucking similar
It's
shit.
like frame to frame.
Frame to
most
frame,
of the time.
they get everything fucking right, which is like very rare for manga adaptations.
I don't think they had too much oversight. They were just like, we're going to fucking make this however we want.
That's like when we saw Grindhouse and we saw like the pre-fucking Hobo with the shotgun, and then
Right.
you watch Hobo with the shotgun, and you're like, yo, that's scene for scene what was in the trailer.
Right, yeah, that's exactly what I was looking at, which is fucking awesome. The film Riki-Oh stars Fan Si Wong, who's best known for his roles in Ip Man and Ip Man 2. So if you ever watch Ip Man on Netflix, you should definitely go check him out. It's basically, Ip Man is about Bruce Lee's master, who was a real person and was experiencing the change in China when like colonization and all the industrial age was hitting. So they went from being completely separate to being industrialized, and what happened to him after that, and then how he met Bruce Lee at some point. So go check those out, and you'll see he's one of like Ip Man's rivals who tries to fight him at first and then ends up being like one of his good friends after that. But you immediately recognize him as the main person in there, except he's a little bit older. He was really young for Riki-Oh when this came out. He's probably like in his 20s.
And he's ripped as fuck.
We were fucking dying at the scene where he walks in and he like rips open his shirt and you just see like abs, and then he's shirtless for the rest of the film.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't ever put a shirt back on.
I think like the movie just really kicks off when they're like, hey, I'll give you 10 bags of rice to kill this guy.
Right, yeah.
And then he's like, you're Riki-Oh, right? Yeah. And then he just like tries to fight him, immediately gutted by Riki-Oh, like just pulling out his intestines. And you're like,
punches a hole like straight through him.
You're like, okay, it's this kind of movie now.
Right, yeah. This just escalated really quickly.
The special effects there are hilarious.
You had
Fucking
a term for that movie. It was part Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, yeah. No, Riki-Oh is part Shawshank Redemption, part like Tower of the Dragon. I think that's what, or Dragon. It's the Bruce Lee movie.
Enter the Dragon.
Enter the Dragon. There you go. Not Tower. I don't know why. I think I'm confusing two Bruce Lee movies.
Are you confusing Mortal Kombat? Where you go into the tower and you
Fuck.
fight up until you get at the top?
Anyway, Shawshank Redemption, fucking Enter the Dragon, and then every like gore, and then like the Saw movies. I guess we'll go with that one.
The gore was on a next level.
It
status.
was so good.
Okay, so Tetsuo the Iron Man might be the sweatiest movie I've seen, and then Riki-Oh is probably the goriest movie I've ever seen. Maybe.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I've seen that's gorier.
Whoa. So Kill Bill, the first Kill Bill, in the scene in the bar is pretty fucking crazy.
Oh, when she kills the gang, the crazy 88.
Yep.
That's true. But it was black and white and then it switches.
Okay, wait, you got a whole person.
Riki-Oh also isn't black and white.
You got a whole person being thrown into like a giant fan though, and just
that's the thing.
shredded into meat.
Yep.
Then again, there was Kingsman where they did the same thing, but they made
that's right.
burgers
There's a
out of
church
it.
fight. Oh wait, yeah, that guy gets tossed into the meat grinder.
Made into a burger in that
then
movie.
she eats it. Well, she forces a dude to eat it. Actually, now I think about it.
It was his partner.
Yeah, that was fucked.
It was fucked.
I like that we know all these like crazy
Cooks it
gore
and
things.
everything.
Yeah. Oh, she cooks a pretty good burger. Like that shit looked legit. But whatever.
Riki-Oh is more of just like a movie you just see with your friends and just laugh at because the
Yeah.
dub is horrible.
Oh, the dub's amazing.
But it's amazing at the same time.
I don't like
I did
that
not watch the dub.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I did not watch the
shit.
dub, so I think I missed out on a whole experience.
It was
here.
just so fucking funny because people were like, it sounds like people were just drunk in a studio and they covered it all in one day.
Hey, there's Ricky. Let's get him.
And it's just so wild, all the things they're yelling. Like when the guy cuts open his stomach, he's like, "You really got guts."
There's some great fucking lines in this movie.
There's so many. There's a lot of good ones.
A lot of good kills too.
The last bit of stuff I wanted to tell you guys was it was released October 5th, 1991. So both films released same year, just a couple months apart. And then it has a runtime of 91 minutes, and it was in Cantonese, Chinese. And it made 2,147,000 Hong Kong dollars, which really just translates to about 306,000 during that time in 1991. So in today's dollars, it ended up being like 508,000 with inflation and whatnot. So made a pretty good amount of money.
Not bad for what it is, seeing as the audience got restricted.
Yeah, it was like heavily restricted. Nobody under 18 was allowed to watch it because of how violent. And it like noted in a lot of different articles that this is what caused it to not make a lot of money. It didn't have like that PG-13 rating where like teens and kids could go watch it.
I mean, that's why some studios are worried about making R-rated films in the first
All the
place.
time.
It turns them away from it because of situations just like this one.
I think PG-13 is probably the worst rating in all honesty because like you're not getting the raw dog of fucking R, and you're not getting like super nice, just very wholesome G rating.
Well, it was only rated that rating because of the violence. It wasn't like sexual. There wasn't any other sort of thing that would give it that rating. So it was purely because of the violence. And in some cases, movies would be rated something because they had like explicit sex scenes that were pretty much just porn. And close to being these odd snuff films. So it was just like they didn't really know how to rate this one besides just like it's too violent, like kids can't watch it. And it got snubbed sort of, like there wasn't enough people who were able to watch it because of that. But then as soon as it came out on VHS and DVD and whatnot, people watched it a lot. Just like with any of the I feel like it happens with a lot of the films we've talked about.
Riki-Oh and Tetsuo are like those kind of movies it's hard to find a physical copy of.
Yeah.
But unless you're like absolutely looking for it, they're kind of like out of print and just like rare, obscure movies for their countries.
But very easy to find online because there's a lot of digital versions of it that exist.
It is fun.
I'm sure there's several different cuts of it too, or at least 1 to 2 different ones because of things they've wanted to add in or just couldn't. Except for maybe with Tetsuo, he kind of just maxed out what he could do with the film. But I feel like it was really well done for what he was doing with like how much money he had, the type of film he used.
What were
when it was
your
released.
Initial thoughts on the film post seeing it? Because you've seen it a couple times, right?
Well, so I remember watching Tetsuo the Iron Man probably like 10 years ago when someone first suggested it to me and I hated it. But this was pre going to school for film and getting all of the tools to analyze something. And I was like, it seemed excessive at the time. But then I watched it again last night and I loved it. And I was like, this is like the kind of weird shit that I would go and find or try to make. So it was really appealing because you could tell the sources that he pulled from. So he was definitely a fan of like Kurosawa, who was making like black and white films and was like the Japanese director to know for like prior to that, from like the early 40s to like 70s. So he was definitely one of those things or one of the directors that you could tell he had influence from, and then he changed into something that was his own.
I never saw Tetsuo the Iron Man ever until like literally last night.
Oh my god.
So it was definitely a trip. The ending reminded me a lot of Akira.
Yeah.
Also.
Yep.
Reminded me a lot of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If anything, I'm sure that Akira is like inspired by partially Tetsuo the Iron Man. I really appreciated how much sound played a role in here, which is something that like the Lighthouse also did really well.
Yeah, they used their soundtrack to that advantage.
And so I think this movie does it really well. I was, classifying it as horror, you have a lot of elements. You have the body horror aspect, the possession aspect. But one thing that this one did really well is a lot of the jump scares in it were from like a squirting noise or like something subtle, and it was always like the sound that was really did it.
Well, I
Like-
felt like a lot of the sounds you couldn't identify in some points. You just knew it was disturbing.
Yeah, the sound that I'm referring to that actually made me jump, and I might just be a little baby when it comes to horror movies, to be honest, but it was this one where he's in the mirror and he's like poking at his skin, and then it squirts. That actually like made me. I was like, "Fuck,
Yeah.
okay, whoa."
Well, you
Like-
don't expect it to happen because it's just
Yeah.
a piece of metal sticking out of his face,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
he pokes it and blood squirts out onto the mirror.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it made me jump a little bit though because because the movie kept this tension, and that was like a release sort of deal with it, and that was really cool. Also, you got that scene with the possessed woman that's like chasing him down the alleyways and stuff. That's
Right.
creepy as fuck. It's creepy.
Yeah, I mean the music is making the fucking tension go off. The guy's like constantly scratching his face.
Right.
And like you could hear it sounds just like some ASMR, just like some really like beard on
Yep.
fucking like metal kind of shit.
It's the sound you get like if you have facial hair, body hair, and you shave it, and you just kind of run your fingers along it. You'll hear that like grating sound.
And it's very prevalent throughout the movie while he's trying to go through this transformation and doesn't realize it because the movie it starts with the metal fetishist like getting hit by the car and being you know,
He cuts open his leg first.
yeah, and he inserts the rod.
Yeah, he's like obsessed. There's even like flashes of pro athletes at
Yeah.
some point because I guess he's wanting to be those athletes be just as strong. And then he goes running out because he freaks out. He covers it up and then reopens it and notices that it's just rotting with maggots.
Yeah.
And then he runs out, and then that's when the businessman and his girlfriend hit him.
Fun fact, it is canon that the businessman was in fact getting a blowjob when he ran over the dude. Because in later scenes, the dude's zipping up his pants and the girl's like wiping her mouth and shit.
Yeah, they added those in. So if you're paying close enough attention, there's a lot of smaller details.
So they're kind of like they're nymphomaniacs, dude. Because like
Just always having sex.
they try to like fucking just like, hey, we should help this guy, but then they're like, nah, he's fucking a goner. So they basically try to hide the body
and then fuck next to him in the
Yeah.
woods.
And he's like, the chick's like, he's looking right at us, and he's just like going harder.
He
You know?
does not care. He
Worst
does not
anime
care.
betrayal.
The thing about the sound effects though, they play a key role in this movie because
Right. The
it was-
music and the sound effect. Or I guess they're
sound,
kind of the
sound
same.
design in general.
Yeah, just all the sound
Just-
design.
It is noted that the sound design is like one of the key features of this movie. I looked it up on Wikipedia. It's just like it is known for its music, for its disturbing images, as well as the fucking sound effects they made
God,
organically.
didn't you know it was the birth of darkwave?
God damn it! No. Such a fucking name.
Wait. Do you not like that name or that genre of
I
music?
love darkwave music, but I'm just like, if you ask me what the intro
What
to
it is?
darkwave was, I'd just be like, you know what? I like modern darkwave. I like Boy Harsher and shit. Leave me the fuck alone.
Well, this is all like very close genres of music, but I would say it's industrial over it being darkwave.
Bruh,
Is
it's
how I would say.
Nitzareb before Nitzareb was Nitzareb.
I mean, there's some parts where the fucking the background noise is just shifting glass.
Yeah, it's fuck. If you can see, that's how I know you have the job you have, because you could identify a lot of the noises. I couldn't tell what the fuck half the noises were.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like when I was making the first Gunshot Wound EP, I had a handy recorder with me, and I was recording organic impacts and hydraulics and like all kinds of stuff. And then going through that, I mean, I used it for about a month, and like I was able to get a lot of good fucking noises for it. But there were some parts where I just like fuck myself up. Like I was grinding, and then the grinder would shoot out and just like hit my stomach. I'm like, oh fuck! I'm like, did I get the sound though? Yes, good.
Wait. So in order to sample what you were using for your music, you went and did all of these activities yourself.
Yeah, that's what I did. I would have
That's
to like.
commitment.
I would
You
have
went
to-
and made the noise. You didn't just find it on the internet and use it. You were like, no, I'm gonna make my own.
No, I'd be like,
noises.
hey, can you like grind this? And like, the
Fuck
fuck are
yeah.
you doing? I'm just like, just fucking grind this for like.
You're standing
2
there with like a
minutes.
recorder, like I just need this.
I need at least 5 seconds so I could loop this.
That's fucking awesome.
What were your guys' favorite deaths in Riki-Oh?
Oh man.
You know what? Not a death. Oh wait, sorry. Okay, so the first one with the body, like just like going in the stomach, pulling out guts, very fun. I will say, like, one of my favorite deaths is when the guy has, like, the weird gun thing and just, like, his homie is like, I'm going to get the fuck out of here. He just shoots him and explodes, like, immediately.
Yeah, what the fuck was that gun?
Well, when he shot them, it made them, like, explode. Kind of like the Blade movies. You know, where
Right.
he has those vials.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a gun that did that. That's how I logicked it. There we go. Logicked it.
Yeah, it was weird movie logic is what happened there. I don't know. I'm assuming it had like some chemical that makes your body inflate and explode,
We got to talk about the fucking, what are they called? The Gang of Four.
which they renamed apparently. They were like the Heavenly something in the manga, which sounds
I like
cooler.
Gang of Four better because it reminds me of the post-punk band.
I mean, the way they were dressed, they might as well all be in a band.
Yo, the fucking that dude who just like looks super fucking fresh, like has like stripes on his fucking thing, a bowl cut, like he's always has like some super nice hand movements. Like that guy's my favorite.
Wait, are you talking about the person who had blonde hair?
No, he was like one of the four,
Right.
But he was like the super clean cut, like the leader, not the muscle. Not the guy with the fucking needle arms like Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's the guy we were talking about.
Yeah,
which I'm fairly sure was played by a woman, but I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Very androgynous looking
Yeah,
guy.
very androgynous.
It's a
character.
guy, though. I figured it out eventually, yes.
I was like, I'm not sure.
But yeah,
I will say they are fabulous looking.
Yeah,
They
no,
are
fuck
fabulous.
yeah, those fucking cool, some cool outfits during that. I mean, all of them had hilarious outfits that were also like, what? It seemed like you were playing a video game and you just like ran into.
This was the LARPer group.
Yeah.
That actually knows how to kick your ass.
They were able to just like get their own outfits while everyone else was just wearing these regular black outfits.
I will say the ending with the warden getting fucking minced into the fucking fan, great death scene, as well as the one where they Riki-Oh just literally just punches the fucking snitch's face clean off, and it's like his whole half of his head is just gone. It's eviscerated.
It's so immediate.
Dude, the shower scene with the what the hell do they call the giant fat guy?
I don't know, but
I forget his name, but yeah, he
Yeah.
takes a chunk out of his stomach when he punches him, and then there's the fight against the muscle of the four, and he like just punches through the bottom of his jaw. And it
Yeah,
comes
rips
the other
out
side.
his bottom jaw, and then he goes to punch him and just like punches through his arm that splits like
Yeah.
3 different ways.
Oh yeah, because their punches meet. He deflects
Yeah.
his punch and punches through it, and like splinters all the bone and everything.
But yeah, what were like some other super good like gory fights that you like really enjoyed?
From other movies?
No, from this movie.
Oh, from this movie.
From Ricky, yeah.
Yeah. There's the intestine strangling bit. That's pretty amazing.
He makes it seem like he's going to commit suicide, and then when he gets close, he's like, I got you, and like rips out his own intestines to choke him with it. And you're just like, why are you still standing? Like, what is going on in this moment? There was so much ridiculousness. Like, Ricky actually ties together his own tendons at one point and like repairs his arm. And that's fucking ridiculous. Like, he's like invincible this whole movie.
Yeah, he goes through that thing where he gets buried alive for 7 days straight too.
Like, goes into some weird hibernation and then just jumps out of it as soon as they lift him out of the hole. All of it was hilarious and ridiculous. But actually, that makes me think of how are both of these films horror? How are they like body horror? Like, what kinds of horror are they exploring in all of these films or in both these films?
I mean, Riki-Oh is heavy body horror. Just like, what would happen if a fist could punch through your entire stomach?
Yeah.
What would happen if the warden was actually a giant freak monster? And what would happen if you got put in a blender? And then,
Dude, the other, like the assistant warden, he gets pretty fucked up pretty bad too.
Gets his arm chopped off. What else happens to him?
I mean, his eye, he gets punched in the eye like super hard. Like his entire face just collapses around his like
That's
fake
right.
eye.
oh my god, there's the one dude that gets punched in the head and he has like a crater in his head afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like stuck a random piece of like clay to his head.
Actually,
Yeah.
now I remember my favorite death. It's when the riot police are coming in and Riki-Oh punches through the riot shield through the guy's entire fucking torso. Torso in his arm. Like, shout out to Anthony for showing me this movie. I will always love you for showing me this.
This movie was hilariously entertaining, but I don't know if I would ever show it to anybody. I'm not going to lie.
Well, it's like one of those movies you don't want to talk to your parents about, as well as like, do I show this to my friend? Will he still want to be my friend after I show him this.
That's fair. I mean, so watching both of them, Riki-Oh is obviously very violent.
It's more comedic too.
It's definitely more comedic. Tetsuo was way more serious in its tone and what it was telling you, but it was also really surreal and disturbing a lot of the time because you couldn't really tell what was going on. And it was blending people and machines and parts together, and it's black and white, so you can't tell where one thing ends and another thing starts. So it was blending the body into whatever machinery was there, and was giving you a lot of social commentary, I think, about like people who work in the middle class and kind of the jobs they have to take and the toll it takes on their body.
I agree with that because I myself coming from that, it's just you don't realize how much it takes until years later. And
right.
It's not immediate. It will never be immediate, but this movie ramps it up to be immediate in the symbolism of metal coming onto people. You have the woman at the subway station touching the thing, becoming a part of the curse that the metal fetishist grows onto her.
Right.
And is chasing this dude. And this dude is like, he's a businessman. The only thing he has to defend himself is a fucking pen.
He stabs her with it.
Yeah. But coming from that, like, kind of somewhat area, it's a very romantic movie as well as a very big art house movie. I mean, like, the scenes of sex in this movie are very passionate.
You know what? That was a good sex scene.
Honestly, like, real.
It felt realistic, yeah.
Yeah, especially, I mean, I gotta say, it's fucking crazy because she goes up a fucking dresser.
She climbs up the dresser while he's fucking her from behind, and you're like, what is happening?
I was like, dude, this is all right, I see it.
A lot of good face acting from all of the characters in this.
Agreed.
They were able to just get a whole range of emotions onto their face to be able to explain to you what was going on. The scene where they are having sex, it seemed like they were actually probably getting into it at that point. I have no idea if the woman is actually associated with him, and she's only referred to as the woman or the girlfriend. None of these characters are named.
And she slowly becomes infected with whatever this is, but not in the same
love that.
vein.
Her hair gets all crazy. She gets like dark eye makeup at some point.
She looks like the fucking bass player of Napalm Death. Like, his hair is just fucking all over the place. Like, he got electrocuted.
Yo, so what was up? What's up with the phallic references in Tetsuo? What's up with the drill penis? Why does she have like a Hydra penis at some point that's like going around and then she like fucks him in the ass? Like, what's going on with these scenes?
I feel like the thing is with the woman, it just like it went to her and then they were just sharing this moment. But the thing is, the guy is completely normal when this occurs.
Yeah, he's totally normal and like straight up gets sodomized at some point. So you're just like, what is
And then it turns around. The guy is like, has sex with the girl. He's trying to make food. And then he comes back and he's the one with the fucking metal penis.
Right. It like drills through the table.
I mean, after thinking about it a little bit, it's kind of like this movie has a lot of melding flesh with technology and how that is horrible in general. So it might be trying to say something along the lines of, you know, technology's like becoming so embedded in us that it will soon become a part of us.
Yeah.
And we can use it to like hurt other people sort of idea. And then maybe like when it passes on, it spreads that rage and that anguish.
Which it
through
does.
others.
He ends up killing his girlfriend, or she kills herself. We're not really sure.
To go even deeper, I mean, think about people's social media use.
Right.
Think about how easily they can like upset somebody, and how that person becomes upset. It's a thing. It is definitely a thing. Like, people get enraged online. There's a reason why there's memes about it and whatnot. And people get upset online, and then they take out their aggression on other people through like anonymity.
Yeah.
Which is that shielding of technology. Like, you could describe it as like a way of it getting in the way of basic human interaction.
Yeah.
You could look at it that way.
No, yeah, that's what I got it.
You got a lot of people just like, hey, you did this certain action online. Like, you blocked me. You did this certain thing. But, like, in reality, like, you could just talk to me. You just tell me what's up. Like, you don't have to be behind a certain mask.
Yeah.
You don't have to be integrated into your technology so much. Like, I'm going to say, there's a song off of Frank Ocean's album Blonde where he just describes, like, this dude describes how he was on Facebook and he was, like, in a relationship with a girl, but the girl was like, hey, you didn't put me under us in a relationship on your Facebook. Like, what's going on?
Right.
And he's like, oh, I don't have to put it on Facebook because I see you every day and we're in a relationship.
Very important to some people.
And she's like, no. If it's not Facebook official, then I don't want to be in it. And he's like, well, does it matter? Because I'm seeing you face to face like every single day that I can. Like, we're in a relationship. I love you. And she's just like, no, if it's not Facebook official, then I don't want it. And he's like, what the fuck? Like,
so back to like how it's horror. I mean, that's like a fear that's being expressed through it, I would say.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way about what you explained earlier about it taking over and possibly hurting another person. In this case, I took it really literally as his desire to have sex with her more than anything ended up being a bad thing and translated into something that would hurt her. And at some point, he basically tries to assault her, and she ends up having to stab him for it. But then it shows like how a relationship like that might go for some people, where she forgives him pretty much.
Yeah, I thought it was like very reminiscent of very abusive relationships.
Yeah, it's like an abusive relationship that plays out in like 30 seconds.
I was just like, holy shit, the emotions here. Because like she goes from wanting to kill him and like, no, don't fucking do this, to I love you again. Like, please come here. And
well, that's the fucked up part, is that it's not uncommon for people who have been sexually assaulted to not only forgive the person that did it to them, but possibly let them do it again. And so it ends up being possibly an explanation for something like that, but I don't think it was the full intent of the scene where he was explaining what would happen. But it was definitely intended to show that his desire for her at that point ended up being really dangerous.
It was taking over his basic cognition.
Right. He couldn't even function while the penis was like a drill and was drilling through like the table, the fucking wall. And she even at one point is like, no, like, show me like what's going on. Like, I'm not going to be afraid. And then as soon as he turns to her, she fucking screams. And like, it gets really,
He's like, not
really
going to be
scared.
afraid, huh?
Right. Yeah. It's so, but I mean, it ended up showing a condensed version of their relationship. She was really trying to make it work, and it didn't really work out so well.
There were a lot of moments in this movie where the body is like moving around. You hear it like shifting, and you see the metal fetishist.
Sounds like bones cracking.
It's fucking scary. Like, that part was actually disturbing because like I don't know how they did those scenes. I'm not gonna look into it.
Just crazy sound effects they're able to pick up from different places and like added on top of it.
But eventually, the metal fetishist like manifests himself through the dead girlfriend.
Yep. He like gets into the body and then just explodes it and comes out. I thought this dude was the devil. Like, I was like, this has to be like a reference to something like that.
That dude looks fucking dope.
Yo, his fucking eye makeup and like the way his hair looked, it was legit.
With the wires out on the fucking thing.
On his shoulders. He had like shoulder pads.
He's like running around super fucking fast, and he's just like, this ain't nothing, man. I got you.
He had like these things on his feet that looked they look like exhaust tubes or
They were exhaust tubes.
Okay.
And they have both of them have rocket shoes.
That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah,
rocket feet, rather.
He basically had like rocket feet, and then, you know, when you watch Dragon Ball Z and you saw them go skidding across like the ground, that's what it looked like, but stop motion style. Yeah. It was kind of choppy, but it was still, it gave you, you knew enough. Like, you knew what was supposed to be happening in the moment. And you weren't second guessing, like, are they moving? Are they flying? You were like, no, he has fucking rocket feet and he's like going super fast. And that is the feeling you got for the film. And it worked for those scenes. And it was weird because you had to go from the stop motion back to what was happening with them. And then at the end, they both end up like, they absorb each other and then become this one creature that's just like, we're just gonna turn everything to rust and like destroy all of the world, and they speed off together.
What's the quote that they say? Sorry, Mitch.
I don't know. You should definitely look it up.
Gotcha.
But there's definitely like a final quote for them where they're talking about how they're gonna turn the world to rust, basically.
Thinking more on it, going back to the abusive relationship idea about how they abuse each other and they go back and forth sort of idea. I would say that it could also be like another metaphor for like, you know, technology intervening, turns humans more vicious towards each other, creates this awful monster that literally like affects everything else around it.
Yeah, I mean, it gives more credit to what you were talking about, where technology is affecting everybody. And in some ways, when it does take over somebody, like a good example is what happened with fucking Zuckerberg. He originally started where the idea behind Facebook was really good and people were all about it and he was cool with it. But then at some point, it started taking information from people. It was being sold to another person. Now it like monitors our whole fucking life, and it kind of has grown out of his hands and is made into something even worse. So in this way, whatever they created is now going to try to take over whatever is going on with the Earth, and they speed off that way together, and they don't really have a choice in the matter. Like they kind of get consumed by whatever metal entity is kind of possessing both of them.
So the quote that I was going to say was, our love could put an end to the whole fucking world. We can mutate this world into metal together.
Yeah, he literally says our love. Like they're like in this together at some point, and they end up being like, yeah, let's fucking do it.
Because they end up fusing. I mean, they're fighting for a
Right.
good amount of the movie. I'd say about good 15 minutes. And then that's when Tetsuo, like on his last, not Tetsuo, but like, you know, the main character, the businessman is on his
Right.
last whim is just like, you know, I'm going to absorb you.
Yep.
And then they're like a machine that could drive kind of.
Turned into like a
Holding
tank.
Like holding an Uzi as well. It's interesting
That
stuff.
was so great. He's just standing on top holding an Uzi, and you're like,
Looks-
what is going on?
It's just a car draped with metal shit,
Yep.
and he's just like,
Yeah.
"Meh."
standing on top.
And then for one of the best parts is the guy that's absorbed is like, I feel fucking great. You know, he's just like super hyped.
After he's been absorbed.
Technology consumes lives as
Well,
as
the last thing I took from it was that this could possibly be a representation of different classes in the system that exists in Japan and or any other place. In this case, it was the businessman, the middle class person, as well as the other guy who possibly was a vagrant, who was just homeless and not really doing much with his life, and how they're often put against each other. In most cases, you can see it playing out now in the United States, where everyone who is under the poverty line or is not rich is being put against each other. And then to me, at the end of this film, they came together and are now going to like cause havoc and anarchy. So it's like that was kind of what I got from it, was the combining of different classes to kind of rebel against whatever was going on. In this case, it was the system that they were living in. Like they weren't happy being in the spots that they were.
yeah, I mean, like with the symbolic energy of like the metal, it's just like one, like especially with welding, like it comes together through heat. So like when you have these aggressive things happening, I mean, obviously it's heat, it comes together, they weld into a similar thing, and they become one. It's the same thing with classism. It's like there's a common person dragging down both the middle and lower classes, and they often fight each other until it's too late most of the time.
Well, it's not that they want to fight each other. In most cases,
They don't realize that they are.
Yeah, exactly. Or they're told to, like, the problem is not us, the rich people. It's the other person who's stealing your job or like doing something else, and they
Or
redirect
this
it.
immigrant. Blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah,
exactly.
blah.
Yeah. You'll see
Put
it play
X
out.
amount of things here.
Yeah, and
Because
it's always somebody
politicians
else.
and fucking media will tell you any X amount of things is your problem, and that's what you should be caring about. So they like basically conform together and are taking on the establishment by the end of the movie, I guess. You could say.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Also, like, what was going on in the early '90s in politics?
I mean, think about the LA riots when
Right.
shit was going down. They're like, hey, there's an abuse of power here. We should really just start fucking shit up.
You know what was crazy? My aunt had just joined the National Guard when the LA riots started, and her first fucking outing, her first real mission was to go to the LA riots.
That's horrible.
Can you imagine having that as your first fucking thing to do on the National Guard? You think you're just going to chill most of the time? And then they're like, oh, you're all active. You're all going to Los Angeles. The fucking city's on fire.
Speaking of which, if you haven't, check out or at least search up the term roof Koreans.
Yep.
'cause it's fucking dope.
These guys are legit.
Yeah. You ever see that video about the dude who's just like, so I get called into work and my friends like, or my boss is just like, hey, don't come into work today. I need you to go to the gun store and buy like 3 fucking guns and like a bunch of ammo.
They literally sat on top of their fucking store with boxes of ammo and their rifles, either shooting or making sure people were not going to loot their store. And they did, in fact, protect their store. And it's an awesome story. There's really good documentaries about the LA riots and what people were
But
doing.
see, that's another thing though. That's a class warfare thing.
Yeah.
You got fucking regular people who own businesses, and lower class people fighting each other.
Yeah.
When in reality, they were just mad about the cops that killed Rodney King.
Yep.
And they didn't take on the establishment like they should have. They were fighting each other. So I mean, like the LA riots is just a big fuck you to everyone who's like nowadays, because we're just like, why were they fighting each other when they could have?
Well,
you know?
yeah. I mean, it's hard to look. It's hard to know what you're supposed to do right in that moment. In the same way that some people like will go through history books and ask, why didn't these people do anything different at the time? And it's most likely because things were like illegal at some point, and just like that is what some basis is for people, where they don't want to do things because it's illegal or because some law says so. But there's plenty of times when the law wasn't always right, and in like it can easily be seen in the United States history.
Goddamn paladins or city guards or whatever you want to call them.
well, yeah, it's people who want to be like the lawful good people, but it's not going to work out for them because like
The laws are not good.
it was fucking illegal at some point for like black people to go into a restaurant. Like it was illegal to fucking protect people who were Jewish during the Nazi occupation of fucking all of the country. So like there's a lot of weird shit.
Speaking of which, we should talk about the prison establishment.
Right,
That's
yeah.
also featured in Riki-Oh.
Well, it's pretty much like the prison industrial complex is really what it is.
Is it just me, or did all the cops just look like blue Nazis?
I mean, yeah.
It just looked like they just adopted the fashy gear.
Yeah.
And then just painted it blue.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I think the best part was when they're just like, hey, can you get this guy to kill this guy?
Right.
Yeah, I got you, man.
Gives him a cigarette.
It gives him a cigarette. Yeah, it's just, these cops are made to be dumb, and a lot of them die in the movie.
Which is inconsequential to the film.
Which is really funny, because at one point, I mean, you got by the end of the movie, everyone's like super hyped that Ricky is just demolishing.
He is the
fucking
man.
face.
They were like, yes, you're the reason why we're rebelling. Like,
And
you're the man.
Then they're like, riot police are coming out. They're like, hey, let's fucking fuck these people up. And that's when Riki-Oh just comes through to the wall, punches it, and is like, you're all free now.
And lets them all. Well, actually, they don't even run out. They
Yeah.
It's just him like walking out.
It's just him.
I would have ran the fuck out of there. I don't know why they were just chilling there.
There was also a good amount of talking about drugs in this movie, because there's a good amount of the thing where the police are running
The poppy fields.
in a heroin plant
Opium.
that sells through the fucking. They make it at the fucking prison, which, I mean, in all honesty, the private industrial prison complex where they work off the labor of felons.
Right.
China's had problems with opium in the past too, so it makes a lot of sense that like a hero for a movie would be someone who's like very anti that.
Yeah.
He's the lawful good character.
Oh, totally.
I
Yeah.
mean, the opium problem in China has been prevalent for fucking centuries.
Ever.
I mean, I'm even thinking back about the ports in fucking like 1800s,
Yeah.
Yep.
Like-
and just spread out from there.
just spreading out. But the thing is with Riki-Oh, it's his girlfriend died because of a fucking
okay, but
drug
this was,
dealer.
I gotta say, this was stupid. Like, she fucking ran off a building. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, she did.
It was
I
so
mean,
whack.
I
Like,
was
what
super
are you...
hyped because she got away, and I'm like, wow, she's not
Right.
gonna be like a standard fucking female that just like goes
She
in distress.
literally ran off the building, no hesitation. Just ran off the building.
But Riki-Oh gets his fucking
And I don't fucking
revenge.
understand. Like, it was the dumbest scene. That's the, you know what? That was my only problem. I'm like, why did she just run off a building? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. It's also a hilarious moment because it's obviously a rag doll that gets thrown off the top
Oh,
of the
yeah,
building
that just
and
bonk.
like bounces off the floor.
There's so many good practical effects in these movies. You got the insertion of the steel rod into the leg, and then the maggots coming out
Right.
from Tetsuo. You have the weird fucking superintendent boss that turns into like this giant caricature of a fucking
Yo,
gargantuan.
he turned into like an ogre.
Yeah.
The warden like turned into like a mythical Japanese like style tale. He was a fucking ogre.
His hair like balds, and he's like
Yeah.
huge. I mean, Riki-Oh is doing his punches for the guts that usually guts people. It's not hitting.
Yeah, it's not doing it. He really has to fucking try to put any damage on this guy.
One of my favorite effects in Riki-Oh is when I told Mitch this is when the guy is getting Ricky is getting tortured by the steel iron that they're pushing into his body constantly, and then the guy's like, no, I want to do this. Shoves like a handful of fucking razor blades into his mouth, tapes it, and just starts bitch slapping him back and forth
Until they go through his cheeks.
Yep.
It's so bad.
and then he spits him out at the warden.
yeah, it's like stuck in his face.
It was so good. It was actually a really good cut there too.
Yeah,
they
that
did.
I couldn't tell that whether they put something in his mouth or not. Like that looked very well put together.
Expert composition work right there.
Yeah, it was fucking crazy. I can't imagine how many hours of work were put into Tetsuo for the stop motion, for every scene that they had to set up, for all the things they had to take onto set.
It's 18 months
18
of
months
hours.
is a long fucking time,
For
dude.
that short of a film too. Like, that's so much work.
I mean, when you think of like The Lighthouse, that was like 3 to 6 months, I think, or maybe even less than that. Like,
I don't remember how much time they used for that.
they
but it
didn't
was
use
like,
a lot.
No.
That's for sure. And the thing is, you want to know what's fucking crazy about The Lighthouse is that they filmed the part where Defoe gets into the grave as a dog first.
Oh my
That's
god.
the first fucking scene they did.
Way to break your fucking actors. You're getting buried alive today.
It's like, all right, might as well get it out of the fucking way. You don't want to do that after a 30-day shoot. You don't want to do that to be the last
That's
scene.
fair. Yeah, start with the hardest shit first.
But
that makes
18
sense.
months for a movie is pretty fucking lengthy.
It was
in
he
the
probably
terms of
only had a
that.
crew of like 5 people.
Yeah.
Like 5 or 6 people, and just did everything for it.
Editing with the music is phenomenal, though.
Yeah, it's really well done, which really leads me right to the end of what do you guys like rate these movies? And would you recommend them to other people?
As an art film, Tetsuo is just a movie that you see on your own. Kind of just like something that's like very odd and out there, but you're kind of drawn to it because of all the elements and compositions that it has. You want to see more, but at the same time, you want to shut it off.
That's accurate. Yeah, I felt the same way about it.
And Riki-Oh is just a movie you want to see with your fucking friends and turn your brain off and just have fun with.
Right.
And just laugh at the bad dub, laugh at how fucking crazy the gore is, and just enjoy it.
We've been doing this. We keep finding films that complement each other well, but one is much more serious than the other. We've done this a few times, and I didn't realize it until after we were done.
We typically always do double features as well, hence the Grindhouse name.
Right, yeah,
And
exactly.
we kind of bring it down to some other people's
These are
levels.
intended to be watched together, so you should definitely go and watch one after another.
When I was putting this on the calendar, I just wanted 2 movies from different countries that have really good body horror effects.
Ironically, you picked 2 films released the same year.
That's fucking crazy.
And it's literally only a country apart.
Yeah. I didn't realize it, but
Yeah.
you know what? I mean, Riki-Oh, not a horror movie, but still a lot of fun. And it can technically be a horror movie if you look at it for the symbolism and the
Right,
gore effects, for sure.
right.
It is one of the goriest movies I've ever seen.
Oh, completely.
I'd
What'd you think,
recommend
Mitch?
both of these movies, at least for a single watch, just to see them, just to be like, I witnessed those, sort of deal. As far as like ratings would go, I think I'd give Riki-Oh like a solid 7 out of 10, and it survives on that purely on the like the spectacle itself. Whereas I would give a 9 out of 10 to Tetsuo, just shy of a 10. I feel. But it was definitely a very cool art film that has a lot of things to explore, and it does some things very interestingly with a very like bare bones like medium.
I felt the same way. I appreciate Tetsuo simply because it's an indie film that was done on a very low budget, and they use stop motion to create special effects, which is very clever for the film that they created. And also, I appreciate the German expressionism that's included in most films. That's why I love The Lighthouse so much, because of the lighting. It's like perfect black and white lighting, which is amazing.
Should have won cinematography.
It really should have. Who did it lose to for that category? Do we know?
I'll look up.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was 1912.
Oh.
1917.
1917, excuse me.
Which makes sense because it was a one-shot movie, but still.
Birdman did it already.
Yeah,
exactly.
I was gonna say that too. I was like, Birdman already did that
That's
shit.
what I'm saying. Like,
But I'm tired of war movies. I think is what it is. I don't need to see another war movie about what's going on in World War II or World War One. Like we've seen it enough.
Yep. Yeah, I've seen all of them.
I don't need to see
same with
Dunkirk over
fucking-
and over again.
Oh god, same with gangster movies. I don't really need to see a fucking Irishman.
Nope.
I don't need to waste 3 hours
'cause
of my
fuck
life.
the Irishman.
We're
Are we gonna keep
saying
doing that all the time?
Yeah, so I appreciate it because it is a really well done short film on a low budget. He put so much work into it, and it turned out to be something that's crazy. You have to watch it multiple times to see all of the details on it because there's so much packed into it. And then Riki-Oh is a lot of fun to watch with friends. Definitely go watch it drunk, high. I feel like I always say this with those kinds of films, but it's like it would be really funny to watch. Would I recommend Riki-Oh to somebody else? Probably not. But Tetsuo for sure, because it's something that I feel like is important if you're going to learn about certain types of film, especially indie films. this is going to be like up there on the list. It shot up on my list of really good films to watch because of all the techniques that they used in the filming.
Like when you see Tetsuo the Iron Man the first time, you're very confused. You're very like distraught, but it's only an hour and 7 minutes. So you're
It's
like, whatever.
Crazy surreal.
But when you revisit it, that's when you feel a little bit more of like, okay, I kind of see where this guy was going.
Right. And you can tell like what the story is about. It's not like it doesn't have a linear storyline. You actually can tell what's going on.
Do you have a rating for these?
For Tetsuo, I would probably give it like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. The only reason why I would give it a lower rating, I wanted more of it, but that's just selfish. I just wanted a longer film.
We got sequels, probably not as good though.
Yeah, I've not seen the sequel,
as
so
it tends to happen with horror movies.
Maybe I'll update it after watching the newer ones. For Riki-Oh, I would give it like a 5. Sorry, but it's just because I could not sit still watching it. I was just kind of like, all right, like what's gonna happen next? Because they would drag it out. But it's enjoyable, and I would definitely watch it over again just for the fun of watching something like that.
I say Tetsuo for me an 8 to 9, and then Riki-Oh a solid 7. Watch it high and drunk.
Yeah, that works out, honestly. Did you guys have any final thoughts about either one?
No.
If you can, try to find the soundtrack for Tetsuo on vinyl if you can. Also, if you are interested, go to your local DVD store. Like I'd say Book Off for us in San Diego.
Yep, in San Diego.
For all your fucking local like used DVD sales, because it's easy to find good horror movies and shit like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed these movies. I'm glad you guys too.
So before I let everybody go, I just want to remind everyone we're super easy to find in all of the streaming services. We're on Spotify, we're on the Apple Podcasts as well as Google Podcasts, also iHeartRadio and SoundCloud, and we are also on Stitcher and Castbox. So you can find us on pretty much any place that we have or that anyone has podcasts, we will be able to be found because we've started to spread across the internet, which is really cool. We have all of our social medias. We have our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter, all under BDTGH podcast or _ podcast. Our website is now official.com, so you can go and find it at bdtghpodcast.com, and you'll be able to listen to the episodes there. And like we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, we're going to be selling shirts very soon. We're getting all the designs finalized, and then we're going to put it up for sale for about a week and a half to 2 weeks. All the shirts will then be all the shirts will then be sent out at the end of the sale. So expect them to be ordered, then sent out possibly in another week or two after that. But that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much for listening. No sappy ending this time. We really appreciate it. I'm Mitch.
I'm
I'm Jonathan. Thank you.